other hand, Fresno State the underdog, but they're going to have the crowd in their corner tonight.
Well, I think everybody roots for the underdog, but you know what's so interesting this year as opposed to last season when the teams with the byes suffered so many first-round defeats. 13 of the 16 seeded teams in this year's tournament have been victorious. There you get a look at John Thompson. But 13 of the 16 seeded teams this year have been victorious in their first game, so out goes the theory last year that teams couldn't win with that bye.
No upsets here in the West so far. The top 4 teams made it. There's Boyd Grant. Right now, I guess they could elect him mayor of Fresno. He is idolized in that city. I mean, Fresno State's basketball team has done for that city what the 49ers have done for San Francisco. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for the starting lineups for tonight's NCAA West Regional Semifinal game between Fresno State and Georgetown. First of all, for Fresno State at forward, number 22, a 6'7" senior from Harvey, Illinois, Rod Higgins. For Georgetown at forward, number 32, 6'5" senior from Potomac, Maryland, Eric Smith. For Fresno State at forward, number 34, 6'6" sophomore from Phoenix, Arizona, Bernard Thompson. For Georgetown at forward, number 40, 6'7" senior from Washington, D.C., Mike Hancock. For Fresno State at center, number 33, 6'7" senior from Carson, California, Bobby Davis. For Georgetown at center, number 33, 7-foot freshman from Cambridge, Massachusetts, Pat Ewing. For Fresno State at guard, number 4, 5'9" junior from Chicago, Illinois, Tyrone Bradley. For Georgetown at guard, number 20, 6'5" sophomore from the Bronx, New York, Fred Brown. For Fresno State at guard, number 21, 6'2" senior from Los Angeles, California, Donald Mason. For Georgetown at guard, number 21, 6'3" senior from Gastonia, North Carolina, Eric Floyd. And the coaches for Fresno State, Boyd Grant. And for Georgetown, John Thompson. So we're ready now for the opening tip-off of this NCAA West Regional Semifinal game. Stay with us from Provo, Utah. Back in a moment. A sea of red in Provo, and they call it appropriately the Red Wave, the Boosters, some 2,000 strong who have followed Fresno State. The officials in tonight's game, John DeBrow from the Big 8, Henry Nichols from the Metro, and Bobby Dyler from the WAC. And we're ready for the opening tip-off. Georgetown will be in white, and Fresno State in red. Pat Ewing, you notice Pat wears a T-shirt under his jersey. He's had a recurring cold, and he's been wearing that since back late January. Looks a little strange, though. Haven't done that in basketball in years. Georgetown controlling the opening tip. And Eric Smith fires the first shot of the game and has 2 points.
And that's got to be a very encouraging sign. In the games where Georgetown hasn't played well this season, there's been a lack of perimeter shooting that's really hurt them. You see him come out in this full court pressure. Once again, you'll notice the contrast in styles of defense.
Fresno knocked off West Virginia, and Georgetown defeated Wyoming. It's the way they had their ticket punched to Provo. And, of course, on Saturday, the winner of this game meets Oregon State for the right to go to the Final Four. Higgins, first shot of the game. Correction, that's Donald Mason.
Mason's coming off a very hot postseason tournament in the conference where he was named the MVP. Actually, he's increased his shot output, getting 10, 13, and 16 shots per game here recently. First foul of the game called underneath. As Ewing got a hold of the basketball, Fresno State immediately converged on him. And the foul is called on Bobby Davis. First foul of the game. Mason inbounding it. Higgins trying to get it across the center line. Mason has really come into his own. Number 21 is a scorer. In the last 4 Fresno State games, twice he's hit his career high in points.
He was, as we mentioned, the most valuable player in the PCAA tournament. Won by Fresno State. This team not only won its conference, but the tournament for the second year in a row. Knocked out of Higgins' hands and picked up by Georgetown. Hancock. Down quickly to Brown. Shot taken from the corner by Sleepy Floyd.
Boy, and I thought they could have whistled a foul right down there on Ewing.
Higgins picked up the rebound, gets it down to Bradley, and he slows it down.
But the important thing was you saw Higgins got the rebound, and they look to get the ball out and run on you. They'll run the fast break. The last 3 ball games, they scored over 60 points in each one of them. So they're capable of playing any style, but if Georgetown stays in the zone, believe me, they'll hold it for that real good percentage shot.
Brad has been at Fresno State 5 years. Prior to that, he was at Southern Idaho Junior College. And the year before coming to Fresno State, his team averaged 88 points per game, the leading junior college scoring team in the nation, so he knows how to run.
And there was one point in time during that season where they averaged 107 points per game.
Higgins can't get loose for the shot. Mason takes it, fails to hit it. Higgins with the rebound. He can get up. Fresno State still battling underneath as Davis goes up for the shot and draws the foul. And the red wave starts rolling.
Well, Higgins is their real player inside. He's quick inside. You can see he goes to the board. He's got great timing on his leap. Not a great leaper. The key right here, he can't grab the ball with 2 hands, so he just tips it up, keeps it alive. Davis gets it, a good ball fake. He'll go to the line for 2.
Foul is on Fred Brown, his first. Bobby Davis. Interesting story on Davis. They actually went to his high school to recruit another youngster. They wound up recruiting Davis as well. The other youngster has not started in 4 years, and Davis, of course, is a starter and a very valuable contributor to this program.
Well, he stepped in too soon. Ewing did on that foul shot. Well, the same was true of Higgins.
4-2, Fresno State leading Georgetown with the game about 2.5 minutes old. Provo, Utah, Brigham Young University and the beautiful Marriott Center. This is a great site here. 23,000 capacity. Hancock from the corner fails to hit. Follows, gets his own rebound, and a foul called underneath the hoop. Thompson went sprawling that time for Fresno. And the foul is called on number 34, Bernard Thompson, the 6'7" sophomore for the Bulldogs. Team second. Sleepy Floyd from outside. Oh, what a shooter he is. John Thompson will tell you, I mean, he got off the plane as a freshman shooting and hasn't stopped for 4 years. Great All-American. He's made every All-American team that's been published so far. Doesn't particularly care for the nickname Sleepy. Wanted to be called Eric. He got it when he was a kid in a baseball game and someone went by him at second base and the coach yelled out to him, "What are you doing sleeping out there?" And he kind of stuck. So Fresno State slowing it down here in the early going.
Well, I think they're going to try to force a man-to-man situation. Although when we watched them in practice, they'll do this for like a minute and a half or so, and then they'll go into the regular offense. I think just trying to get this defense to stand up, and then they'll attack you in a hurry.
In the zone, Georgetown brings Ewing way out to the top of the free throw circle.
There you see.
Nice pass to Davis underneath.
But there you see they pass it around the perimeter. As soon as you fall asleep, they quick hit you. They get it inside for an easy one. Certainly they'll have to make all those easy shots to Georgetown.
Hancock to Floyd. Eric Smith is the open shot, doesn't take it. Jumper instead from 20 is good. Like that spot a little bit better. And it's 6-4.
Surprisingly, teams shoot just 43% from the field against Fresno State. It's primarily because they pack that zone inside. They force you to shoot from the perimeter.
We hear so much about the Fresno State defense. Keep in mind that Georgetown also has one of the best defensive teams in the nation. They're way up there, third in field goal percentage on defense.
And once again, it's just a different type of defensive pressure. Georgetown's going to come at you full court with real tough pressure defense because they got the big guy in the middle who can knock the shots away and prevent the layup. Bradley
turned it over that time for Fresno, and Georgetown will bring it down slowly. Fred Brown, 6'5", sophomore. Rookie of the year in the Big East last year. He was a forward last year. They converted him to point guard and operating with a very sore thigh, which you can see is heavily taped. Smith to Floyd. Floyd looking underneath. Kicks it back outside, driving the lane. Brown, nice feed off to Floyd, but a foul call, and it's a charging call against Georgetown.
I guess when you set these two teams up, you got to give the advantage in just strict talent to the Georgetown ball club. But you get the feeling when you look at Fresno State and you talk to their people, they played a lot of close ball games all year long. They've won the vast majority of their games. You get the feeling they're the type of team that seems to find a way to win every time out.
Second foul on Fred Brown, and also the second team foul on Georgetown. Down to Thompson. Left-hander dribbles it into the corner, sends it back outside to Mason. Mason and Bradley, the two guards, both handle the ball exceedingly well.
Certainly Fresno State, the type of team that's not going to beat themselves. Well drilled in the fundamentals. They're not going to make the mistakes.
Georgetown with a big height advantage, certainly with the Ewing in the middle at 7 feet. And that's probably dictated some of the Fresno State strategy.
Surprisingly, though, the coaching staff is a little more concerned about the height of guard. With Mason just 6'1".
Davis rebounding and got it. Fine follow by Bobby Davis.
And the foul. I think they got Eric Smith from behind.
So Davis will go to the line again, this time with a chance to complete the three-point play.
I don't know if we'll get a chance to see it, but nonetheless, people will tell you a great shot blocker. Not only does the statistics show up with the block shot, but it's usually the number of shots that he changes in trajectory. That time they had to put it high off the glass. However, it did go down.
Gene Smith, number 22, comes into the lineup for Georgetown. He started the last 8 games of last year, but a valuable reserve this year. Leaves the ball very well on the floor. Davis fails to hit the free throw after converting his first 2 attempts from the line. 6-6, Georgetown and Fresno State, and the game is almost 6 minutes old.
Well, Fresno State's into their matchup zone right now. They'll play the ball man-to-man, and they'll play any man in their area with man-to-man principles.
Timeout, score tied at 6 with 14 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the first half. Final in the Mid-East region tonight. You and I saw Louisville last week against Middle Tennessee, and they still got it going as they beat Minnesota 67-61. It's the last Big Ten team to be eliminated. And here at Provo earlier tonight, Oregon State qualified for the final on Saturday afternoon with an easy victory over Idaho, 60-42. Coming up at halftime, Brent Musburger in New York with all the scores and highlights.
And what a turnaround in that first ball game we saw. Idaho 21-point victory over Oregon State early in the year. This time it's an 18-pointer the other way.
They really put on a clinic. Deflected by Bradley. Mason missed the shot underneath Higgins.
Well, Mason does what so many college guards fail to do. That's usually the situation where a guard takes it all the way in, draws the charging foul. He did the right thing, come up with the big steal, pull up, shoot the jumper. Then you see Fresno State hustles back down. They follow up the miss.
Floyd on the drive gets the hoop, but is fouled by Thompson. Bernard Thompson picks up his second personal foul. Eric Floyd, his second basket.
Well, Thompson's certainly the quickest player defensively for Fresno State. However, gets over a little bit late. Probably would have made a better decision to give up this layup. However, if you're going to foul somebody in college basketball, you can't give up the three-point play.
Floyd's first free throw attempt. This could break the tie. And puts Georgetown in front by a score of 9-8. Spriggs came in during that last timeout for Georgetown, and for Fresno State, Desi Barrymore, number 40, comes into the game.
Well, John Thompson is a situation substitute. Right now he's getting beat on the board, so he comes in with a little bit bigger lineup than Spriggs. Spriggs, an interesting story, did not play high school basketball. In fact, worked 2 years for the Postal Service. They saw him play in a summer league in Washington, signed him to a scholarship. He's been very valuable to the program.
And a fine player throughout his 4 years. Gave up his starting assignment this year after the first game because of Ewing's presence.
He's really taken Ewing under his wing. They feel like that's one of the keys to Ewing improving throughout the season.
Gene Smith tearing down the court for Georgetown. Out to Eric Smith. Floyd can't penetrate. Gene Smith from the corner. 6'2" sophomore Gene Smith gets the bucket to give Georgetown a 3-point lead.
Well, the Fresno State defensive idea is working very well. Georgetown just hitting that perimeter jump shot right now. That's got them a 3-point lead.
Shooting percentage so far in Georgetown's advantage, as you saw a moment ago.
And there you see the defensive pressure. It wears on you. That time Mason beat the press, however, bounced it off his leg across the backcourt line, over and back.
Hoyas with the ball and a 3-point lead. They've stayed in the Utah area for the entire 2 weeks. Ewing going up high, getting his first 2 of the game. Pat Ewing, the 7-foot freshman, is fouled, and he'll go to the line.
Well, this is 2 3-point plays now. I think you're going to see a timeout by Fresno State. They've got to give up something inside when he gets that close to the basket.
Foul is on Desi Barmore. Georgetown has its biggest lead, 13-8. Timeout in Provo. Frank Leber with Steve Grody from Provo, Utah tonight. Georgetown and Fresno State in the NCAA West Regional Semifinal. And Georgetown leading right now, 13-8. There's big Pat Ewing, 7-footer. Was born in Jamaica, came over to this country in 6th grade, didn't touch a basketball until 6th or 7th grade. And last year, of course, was the most highly recruited freshman in the country. I think one reason John Thompson got him was he was the only head coach in the country who was able to look him straight in the eye. Because John's like, what, 6'10"?
Oh, yeah. He's a former Boston Celtic, too. I think Ewing's destined to become really the next great intimidator inside. I guess probably next to Bill Russell. In fact, Bill Russell tutors him out there out east, and I think he's going to become the next great shot blocker intimidator in college basketball.
6-point lead for Georgetown at 14-8 with 12 and a half minutes remaining in the first half. Higgins working the outside with Bradley. Bradley's no bigger than a minute. He weighs just 140 pounds, 5'9", one of the smallest players in major college basketball.
And he's coming off his 2 best games this season. He had 12 and 11 points in the last 2 games for career highs.
How's that for an alley-oop? Rod Higgins. As Davis set him up with a beautiful lob, 14-10.
I'll tell you what, they're very well drilled. They're really a pleasure to watch. Play nothing but team basketball.
Eric Smith with the open shot, answers for Georgetown. 16-10. And the Hoyas continue to apply the pressure.
Well, so much like that UAB Indiana game that we did just a week ago. When a team shoots this well, there's going to be nothing you can do. Fresno State will stay back in that matchup zone, force you to shoot the perimeter shot.
Georgetown has hit 7 of its first 9 shots from the field. Mason working the outside with Davis. Fresno State Bulldogs. Mason has it curl out on him, followed by Barmore. Tipped by Ewing. Sleepy Floyd on the drive, caught from behind by Barmore, slapped it out of bounds.
You know, Fresno State's been a great defensive team all year. You start with great defense with defensive transition. You got to get back into your own foul lane after a missed shot. There you see the Fresno State guards back, stop penetration. The trailers come in, knock the ball away, prevent the fast break.
Floyd comes out, and Anthony Jones, another outstanding freshman, number 11, comes into the game for Georgetown.
I guarantee you what Fresno State talked about during that timeout was fronting Ewing down low. They can't let him get the ball inside. It's going to be a sure two.
Jones has it ripped out of his hands, gets it back, and is fouled by Higgins. Higgins picks up his first personal foul. John Thompson really did probably the best recruiting job in the country last year. Not only did he get Ewing, but he got 2 other freshmen from the Washington area who were also high school All-Americans. So Ewing comes out of the game. And John Thompson do a little pacing with the ever-present towel. His team is in command right now. They lead at 16-10 with just over 11 minutes left to play in the first half. Bill Martin, another freshman, has come into the game for Georgetown, and this time the Hoyas turned it over.
Of course, the other freshman you're talking about is Anthony Jones, who will certainly see some action in this ball game.
Well, he's in there, and so is Martin. So they're working with 2 freshmen. They got Ewing out of there. Higgins from the corner. Missed the 20-footer. Rebounded by Martin. Taking it down the court to Freddie Brown. Brown not an outstanding shooter, but handles the ball extremely well. Gene Smith who can move it around. Jones looking inside. Starting to drive on Higgins. Moves it into the corner. And now Brown brings it out to half court. Starts it over. Fresno State, I guess the biggest thing to happen to that city since the Raisin. They are really excited about their basketball team. Made the top 20 for the first time, getting the national recognition. This is their first exposure on full network television. So they want to put on a good show, and of course they want to get to the final Saturday against Oregon State. Martin with a high arching jumper. Bill Martin, 6'7" freshman from Washington. makes it 18-10.
Well, you see Fresno State having no trouble beating this pressure.
Bradley short with the fadeaway jumper, and Martin plays it on both ends of the boards.
However,
he grabs it off the window.
That'll be the situation that's going to be the key in this ballgame. When they break the pressure, will they attack the basket offensively? That time, a poor decision, a bad selection, got the block.
Jones, they're making them from the parking lot.
I'm telling you what.
Their shooting percentage is phenomenal here in the first half. 20-10, Georgetown leading.
Well, they're certainly playing like a confident team right now. They've had a bunch of people shoot from the outside and score. It's been a well-rounded offensive attack.
They've made 8 straight field goals. So Georgetown.
And other than those 2 3-point plays, I think most of them have been from the 15 and 20-point range.
Smith made the steal, and Mason fouled him. The thing's not going well for Fresno State as Donald Mason picks up his first personal foul. That is 16 fouls on Fresno State. So next foul, and Ewing coming back into the game. Georgetown will be in the 1-1.
As well as Eric Floyd. So much like Boston College, who we saw last week too, they're able to bring people in and out on a consistent basis.
Over and back on Ewing is the call by the official. Well, Georgetown right now hitting 82% from the field. Take a look at
this. This is going to be a bad call because watch, he doesn't have possession yet. He doesn't have possession, so how can it be over and back? The ball actually gets slapped away from him before he has possession in an over-back situation. If he would have caught it, it would have been a good call.
Omel Nieves, number 15 into the game for Fresno against again the alley-oop as Davis set it up underneath for Higgins, and Higgins dropped it through, his 3rd basket of the game.
Well, when you're playing that 1-3-1 zone, it's the back line that is really susceptible, especially when you've got a guy with Davis's height at the point who can look over the zone. I don't get a chance to say anything.
They are melting the nets is what they're doing. I mean, the nets are Sleepy Floyd hitting that one, gives him 7.
Is that something else? 10 to 12?
10 out of 12 from the field.
I mean, Fresno State's playing a good ball game, and they're down 10 points. They've almost got the score doubled on them.
22 to 12. Mason looking inside, goes to Nieves on top. Davis with the cross-court pass. Higgins can't get the shot away.
Well, that's Higgins' spot right there on the baseline.
Tried to get it inside, and the rejection by Ewing on the shot by number 40, Desi Farmore.
Well, people in the crowd like that, when you get the ball inside, you better get up on the glass in a hurry. Ewing can come from a long, long way and block a shot.
You got to look at the Georgetown fans a moment ago. They're outnumbered by the Fresno State fans. 150 came from Washington, plus the band of the cheerleaders who are here, long way from the nation's capital. Ewing, who doesn't have a bad shot from outside. Back to Floyd on the outside. 7 minutes, 20 seconds left to play in the half. And Georgetown leading 22 to 12.
And you can see that Georgetown is capable of being pretty patient themselves. Although right now, any shot is a good percentage shot.
Martin missing. Ewing tips it in. I think they say no basket.
He went over the back.
Ewing says, I can't believe it, and so does John Thompson.
Well, that was the first time that they really made any attempt to penetrate the zone. It's probably the closest perimeter shot they've taken on the night. There you see, this is the reason why the big man doesn't always get the rebound. Excellent position by the Fresno State people inside. Blocked him off, and he went over the back.
Mitch Arnold, number 42, comes into the game for Fresno State. As Boyd Grant going to his bench trying to find somebody who's got the hot hand. Nieves brings the ball down along with Higgins. Arnold is a transfer from the University of Illinois. Georgetown's string of field goals ended at 9 in a row. They were 9 for 9 at that one stretch, enabling them to build up the 10-point lead.
Now here you see a good idea of the Georgetown zone.
Higgins, all-time leading scorer, ripping the nets for Fresno State. He's got 8 of their 14 points.
He's having himself a big first half.
Anthony Jones, the freshman, into the corner to Sleepy Floyd, and Floyd has it knocked out of his hands, saved by Martin.
You mentioned Arnold, a transfer from Illinois. If anybody who watched Big Ten basketball or is in the Midwest, you can imagine why he took off. They had 3 tremendous guards down there. He wasn't looking at seeing much playing time.
So Georgetown looking for the good shot now with a 10-point lead and 6 minutes left to play in the first half. They've controlled things with a great shooting exhibition. here in Provo, Utah. The winner of this game to face Oregon State Saturday afternoon, and we'll have that as part of our CBS doubleheader.
Well, I know they're trying to be patient, but playing as well as they are, I think I would try to attack this zone a little bit more. They've just been playing, Smith and Floyd have been playing with it on the perimeter right now. They've made it absolutely no, that's the first time they've chosen to attack the zone with a pass to the wing.
Now they're playing a little bit of Fresno State's game now. And Fresno State sticking in the zone for the most part. The Evans comes out, put a little pressure.
Well, how often do you see a team get off to a real hot start, then go to this slow down type thing and have the momentum just get right away from them?
They turn it over.
The lower the score, the better chance Fresno State will have to win this ball game.
Evans setting it up with Arnold on the outside.
Now, part of the thing you talk about when you play a team as patient as Fresno is that you don't want to take a quick shot yourself because you don't want to spend all your time on defense.
Nice pass that time by Higgins. Underneath to Desi Farmore. The 6'7" junior gets his first bucket.
You know, and as much as I've heard about the Georgetown defense, I've been so surprised that that's got to be the third or fourth time they've got the easy layup right underneath that zone. It may be a little wiser to go to a 2-3 and strengthen up along the baseline.
Smith holding out on the outside. They're trying to play Fresno's game, but they may be playing right into Fresno's hands here.
Well, I think they are.
Floyd on the drive, makes the basket. Let's see if he gets the charge.
It's going to be a block.
Going to be a blocking foul. Called on Thompson.
This is always the tough call in basketball. Here you see the Fresno State guards probably came out and chased a little bit too much. He's still moving when the player left his watch. When Floyd leaves his feet, the defender's still moving. There you see. A good call on the block.
Floyd on the free throw line. The All-American has hit in double figures in 115 of his 125 college games. In fact, in 51 of those, he has gone 20 or better. And he's off to a good start tonight with 9 points in the early going.
Started to say, I think the Fresno guards on that defensive situation just spread themselves a little too far, let them down the middle.
Timeout with 4 minutes and 28 seconds left to play in the first half. Georgetown leading 25-16. Coming up at halftime, Fred Musburger with scores and highlights of the regional semifinal games tonight. Field goals, Georgetown 11 out of 14 for 78%. You're talking about Musburger. Remember that Virginia Tech game when he got on us for not knowing what a Hokie was? I wonder if he knows what a Hoya is. Let him work on that for a while. All right, Fresno State's ball out of bounds. Full court pressure applied by Georgetown. Arnold gets the inbounds pass. 25-16. Georgetown out in front with a hot shooting first half.
Coming into the game and trying to get a feel for what we thought would happen, really kind of expect a 6-8 point lead at halftime for Georgetown. Both teams seem to be second half ball clubs. Fresno State plays their best the last 15 minutes of the game. Georgetown's strength is coming out right out of the locker room the first 5 minutes and jumping on people.
A little surprised that Boyd Grant has pulled Mason, who's been one of his hot players, down the stretcher. He hasn't seen action here in the last few minutes of this game.
Well, I think they've had so much success getting the ball inside. Mason would be the one player who would be more apt to up it from the perimeter. They've been very successful getting it in just like that.
Good jumper by Desi Farmore. Farmore, by the way, is a transfer from the University of Alabama. 25-18. 10-point lead has now been trimmed to 7.
Here you see, they go to this spread, and I'm telling you, I really believe that it's taking a little bit of momentum away from the ball club.
Well, they were shooting it so well, and now they've put it in the icebox, at least temporarily. Hancock on the outside. That's a great quickness. We said at the start, a complete package. Georgetown seems to have everything to get to the Final Four.
But I think what people don't realize is the fact that it is their defense that has been the strength of the ball club. They play their best when they both shoot well from the outside, but primarily when their defense causes turnovers, the turnovers result in quick offense.
They could almost taste that Final Four. 2 years ago, they were beaten by Iowa 81-80 in the final game of the Eastern Regional. So they missed the Final Four by 1 point, and they're determined to make it this year. They've already won more games than any team in school history. Open shot for Eric Smith, and he missed the 6-footer out front. And again, here comes Fresno State, showing once again that patience pays off.
Well, when you spread the offense and you finally take a shot, the majority of your people are out of position for the offensive rebounds. Fresno State, everybody crashed the boards. They're back on the offensive end.
Eric Smith, who is Georgetown's best defensive player. He always gets the stars, the Albert Kings, the Mark McGuires. He's done a great job on him. And he's staying close to Higgins in this game for the most part. Nieves working the outside. Higgins with the open shot from 23 feet.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's keeping them in the ballgame.
10 points.
I guess if anybody would come close to matching the physical ability of the Georgetown players, it would be Higgins. Great athlete, expecting to be a low first-round draft choice, possibly a high second round.
You can see close to 1.5 minutes remaining in the first half of play. 25-20. 10-point lead is now shrunk to 5.
Well, you'll see the Fresno State guards pressure on the perimeter. When they pick up the dribble like that, everybody else will overplay and try to prevent that outlet pass to relieve pressure.
Fresno warming up now. They've hit their last 4 field goal attempts. Georgetown earlier had a streak of 9 in a row go down. Just over a minute. Martin, the freshman, off to Eric Smith.
Well, in a scramble defensive situation that they're playing, they've done a good job of not letting that layup and the offensive players get behind them on the baseline.
Looking for the sure thing at this point.
I'm just real surprised. I really felt like the best idea for Georgetown would be to come out and just apply offensive and defensive pressure for 40 solid minutes and not get into a 25-20 ball game at halftime like we're in right now.
At this point, they'll likely go for the last shot with 30 seconds left to play in the half.
Here's what you've got to wonder in this ball game. Georgetown with 27 wins. They've only had 2 ball games that they've won closer than 10 points. Fresno State's played all their games down to the wire. You got to believe if this game goes down to the last 3 minutes, Fresno State would be at an advantage.
Under 10 seconds now. Eric Floyd with the ball. Can't get the shot. Eric Smith puts it up. Does not go at the buzzer. So Georgetown put them in the deep freeze for the last 1 minute and 40 seconds, went for the last shot, and then didn't get it. Halftime, Georgetown 25, Fresno State 20. CBS Sports coverage of the 1982 NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this word from your local... And welcome back to the Marriott Center on the campus of Brigham Young in Provo. You wonder what our cameramen do at halftime?
Boy, oh boy, they got the life.
They do have the life. And if this thing slows down anymore, we'll have time to do that between baskets here in the second half. Here's our score at halftime. Georgetown leading Fresno State by a score of 25-20. And the halftime statistics show you that Georgetown's still hitting 69%, but they've only had 16 shots from the field in the first half.
Well, but really the key is to the statistics. It's not what you see on the screen, but what we're looking at right now. It's the shot, where the shots are taken. They call it the shot chart. It tells you where all the shots have been taken. 2, 4, 6 of Fresno State's baskets have come within the foul lane. Only 2 have come within the foul lane for Georgetown. We've seen...
There's a final for you. Virginia loses to Alabama Birmingham. Ralph Sampson and company are out of the NCAA championships this year.
And how sweet for Gene Bartow after a year at Illinois where he didn't have much success. All the years he couldn't get any credit out at UCLA. Now he's taking a program that's only 4 years old. Looks like he could go to the Final Four.
UAB and Louisville will meet now on Saturday. That'll be the first game of our CBS doubleheader. Fresno controlling the ball since the start of the second half of play. Again with the deliberate style of play. Higgins with the open shot from 16 feet. You just don't give him that. That's 12 points for Higgins, and a 10-point lead by Georgetown in the first half is melded to 3. The topic of conversation during halftime is why did Georgetown put the ball in the icebox after hitting 8 of their first 12 shots?
Well, I don't think we're going to get an answer to that question until John Thompson tells us after the ball game. Now that's what I think they should do every time down the floor.
Pat Ewing gets his second bucket of the game, gives him 5 points on the evening.
Now remember, it's usually this first 5 minutes where Georgetown comes out and really jumps on people. Let's see if Fresno can handle that defensive pressure on the full court again.
There's a look now at the Georgetown zone. You see Ewing with those arms extended, looking like the Washington Monument, I guess you might say, in there.
How often have we seen in the tournament, though, teams that have been so hot from the perimeter? Throughout the ball game, you can't usually sustain the shooting percentage to win from the perimeter. You take a look at the shot chart, 2, 4, 5, 6 shots came from 20 feet in the first half for Georgetown.
Eric Smith rebounding Higgins' shot, gets it down to Sleepy Floyd. And Floyd brings it back to the outside. Looking for Ewing underneath, but decides to hold it. Working the outside with Fred Brown. Floyd lost it. Here's Thompson on the drive. Right here. Fouled underneath by Brown. That's Fred's third.
We mentioned Thompson, quickest player defensively. Higgins made a great play. Came up with the loose ball, shoveled it ahead, which is a good idea. Thompson goes up very strong. Once again, if you're going to get the foul in this situation, make sure the ball doesn't get anywhere near the basket for the three-point play.
Looking at the scoring statistics here, 2 of the 5 starters for Fresno State did not scratch in the first half. Thompson was scoreless, and so was Bradley. Substitute coming into the game, Bill Martin, the freshman from Washington, replaces Brown, who has 3 personal fouls.
And Mason, hit his first jump shot and then missed his next 4, so they need his perimeter shooting here in the second half.
John Thompson, a little upset. 10th year at Georgetown, winningest ever. Came to Georgetown, took a team that was 3-23 back in 1972 and had it in the NCAA tournament in 3 years. Really turned that program around.
Well, even a bigger turnaround at Fresno State.
Yeah, Brandt's team was really down. They were 7-20. I beat you to it when he got there, and he turned it around to 21-6 in 1 year.
Right, and he only brought in two new players that year.
So Thompson with his first 2 points of the game, and Georgetown leading by just 3 points. Looks like Georgetown is back at its normal offense again.
Well, they are. They got a lot more ball movement. But I'm telling you, the whole game has been to Fresno State's tempo. They're finally
Ewing.
That will make a difference if they get inside to this fella.
Is that awesome? Pat Ewing with 7 points now, gets his 3rd basket. Again, a 5-point advantage for the Hoyas.
But boy, you've got to be impressed every time down the floor how Fresno very patiently breaks this press. They don't turn it over. They get into their offense. They get a good percentage shot every time down the floor.
Listen to Bradley. Higgins take the shot, went to Davis, and Davis scores and is fouled by Ewing.
Boy, oh boy, this is going to be this is a tough call. Without taking a look at that replay, let's see Ewing on the other end where he does his best stuff. There you see, once again, he sneaks behind the defense. He's got those long arms. He's right up by the basket as soon as he catches it.
Timeout, 16:59 left to play in the game. It's Georgetown by 3. Tuesday. Pat Ewing, who just picked up his personal foul, but asserting himself a bit offensively.
Well, this is a good way to shoot 62% from the field like he does on the season. You don't find many guys at his height that have the great athletic talent that he possesses. He can jump, which is unusual for a 7-footer. He runs up and down the floor, and as you can see, he can be pretty mean, too.
3 fouls on him, but John Thompson's keeping him in the ball game. He's had a tendency to get into a little bit of foul trouble during the course of the season. He's fouled out of actually 4 games thus far in the year. Davis completes the 3-point play.
And in the middle of the season where they lost those 3 ball games in a row, he went 6 games where he had 4, 4, 4, 4, and fouled out twice.
Georgetown turns it over again, and here's Fresno now with a chance to tie it. They trail by 2. And back to the deliberate game it is once again.
But I guarantee you what they'll do is they'll pass it around the perimeter. They'll wait for you to spread out a little bit, and they'll hit you real quick. Expect them to get into the offense real soon now.
Mason to Bradley on the outside to Higgins. Davis had the open shot, takes the jumper, and misses from 15, and Eric Smith grabs it.
And he missed that, but did you see how quickly they got a wide-open 15-footer? I mean, you're going to win if you can shoot that type of shot throughout the ballgame.
Floyd trying to get into position for the shot, sends it back outside to Eric Smith.
And that's a great matchup, Bradley and Floyd. Bradley, matches up very well in quickness, but he's also got those real long arms, and you got a 5'9" guy. It's tough to keep track of where he's at defensively.
Floyd with a 20-footer gets his 5th basket, gives him 12 points on the evening, and Georgetown with a 4-point lead and applying the pressure. Fresno State, as we mentioned on defense, averages a yield of less than 47 per game. There's a great play underneath, and a bucket, and a foul.
I'll tell you what, this is something I don't mind repeating myself on. Fresno State is about as well organized a ball club as I've seen all season long. They take their time, they make 6 or 7 passes, and watch, they end up with a 3-point play.
Thompson underneath with the bucket.
You know, when you play full court pressure, that's usually the pass you've got to intercept if you're going to be successful. That pass where the defenders have to trail the play, come in and run in and intercept that pass. That time they were a little bit late. Thompson takes it to the basket, 3-pointer.
And that makes it a 1-point game, and Boyd Grant feels a lot better about it. Georgetown leading by 31-30 with 15 minutes and 45 seconds. And now it's Fresno State applying the pressure. Fresno State keeps this rate of defense up. It would be the best defensive total since 1952. Smith misses the easy one, but Ewing is there with the follow. Back in 52, Oklahoma State had a better defensive yield average than Fresno State, but that's how far you have to go back. 30 years to match the type of defense they're playing this year. 33-30. Georgetown with a 3-point lead. And again, Fresno State, very slow, very deliberate, looking for the opening. Bradley drops it inside. Thompson, nice fake. Higgins, open jumper. Misses from 15 feet, and Eric Smith grabs it off the boards.
Well, you can see they'll take what you give them. Last 3 times down the floor, they went to the baseline, got the layup. That time they attacked from the middle. Higgins, unfortunately, just couldn't get it to go down.
Martin out on top. The freshman, we get a whistle and a foul called away from the ball underneath the basket.
I think they're going to call it on Davis, and Davis is smart. It looks like he might have taken an elbow upside the head. You see him laughing. I don't think he can quite believe it.
It is on Davis, his second. There's Ewing trying to get loose.
Boom.
Back to live action and a pass underneath, and a shot missed and a foul.
Just tremendous camera work on that last shot. You saw everything that went on.
Freddie Brown is fouled. And the foul is on Higgins. Substitutions for Georgetown. Eric Smith comes out of the game. Gene Smith comes back in.
You know, you take a look at all the contact going on away from the ball. I guess that's been Ewing's biggest improvement over the course of the season. I think early in the year, he got bumped around even a little bit more, and he wasn't quite used to it. His temper got away from him. You know about the couple shoving incidents. Now he's used to playing. He operates much better inside, a little bit more in control of his temper.
Fine move by Floyd underneath the basket, and a big bucket it is for the Georgetown Hoyas. 14 for Sleepy Floyd. They build it back to 6.
Devastating anytime you allow a missed free throw to be rebounded and put back in for 2 points.
Mason gets it across the center line. Mason's been held in check quite well. He hit that first jumper, as Steve mentioned, and missed 4 in a row. Was pulled out, missed most of the first half. And they need for him to start hitting. They have to hit those 15-footers once they get the people open, because their offense is geared around that. And if they don't make it, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, they're not going to get many second-chance passes against this ball club. But Mason, on the other hand, has done a good job of that. You're right, he was 0 for 4, but he didn't force his offense either.
Thompson short. Ewing with the rebound.
Probably the first poor shot they've taken the entire ball game.
Now quickly across the center line is Freddie Brown. Pass underneath to Ewing. And a foul called on Rod Higgins, his second. Correction, his third.
Well, you see the quickness on Higgins' part. He comes from just about nowhere to come around and get this. I don't know. Boy, oh boy, unless he slapped him across the wrist, which is a little questionable, that's the only place contact would have occurred. certainly they can't afford to lose a player the caliber of Higgins.
Team fouls, 3 apiece for Georgetown and Fresno here in the second half. Here's the alley-oop to Ewing. Spectacular. Oh, that gets the people buzzing. Even if you're rooting for Fresno State, you got to appreciate something like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, and that's been their strength in the second half. They've got him 4 baskets on the inside. No secret to this play. Gets behind the defense. You see, as soon as the defense, when you can get behind, the defense back is to you. They don't know where you're coming from. It looks like they've worked on that play a little bit, doesn't it?
I would think so. Foul called on Fred Brown, and that is 4 on the Georgetown guard. 13 minutes, 20 seconds left to play.
Don't expect Fresno to panic or play any differently.
Fresno trimmed it to within 1, and now Georgetown has started heating up again, and they build it up to an 8-point lead. Got the ball inside to Ewing, who had just 3 points in the first half. He's got 13 for the game right now. Barmore with the pass underneath. Scramble for a loose ball. Out of bounds, and last touch by Fresno State's Rod Higgins.
That was a great pass. Unfortunately, Higgins just wasn't ready for it. Bobbled a little bit, goes out of bounds.
Higgins, by the way, is from Thornton High School in Harvey, Illinois, in the Chicago area. Great high school basketball player. And Boyd Grant is some good recruiting. There's Bradley. Nice fake.
Well, he made a great play. I thought he was going to hesitate and maybe go up and try to draw the three-pointer. At 5'9", be cognizant of the fact that he can go up and stuff the ball. Give you an idea of the strength and quickness that he possesses.
He only weighs 140, so he could have got slammed from behind too and knocked right out of the arena. Gene Smith, there's another steal. Mason this time going after it, and Floyd contesting with him, and Floyd picks up the foul.
Probably a good foul. If he should come up with that ball, it's going to be a layup. He will not go to the line, prevents the 2 points.
Eric Floyd's first foul of the game.
This is nothing but a well-coached team that plays defense, to play the passing lanes like that. You can see them just lay back, wait for you to throw the ball out there, and then go get it.
Davis, number 33, coming into the ball game. So is Nieves, number 15. There's the foul situation. Brown in deepest trouble right now with 4. Ewing with 3. And then Thompson and Higgins on the Fresno State side with 3 apiece.
But certainly foul trouble is much more critical to Fresno State. They only go to the bench with 2 people. Georgetown come in with 3 or 4 and not get hurt.
38-32. Georgetown leading. Just under 12 minutes left to play. NCAA West Regional Semifinal from Provo, Utah, with the winner to meet Oregon State in the second half of our CBS doubleheader Saturday afternoon.
You know what Fresno State does differently than most clubs will do when they attack the zone? A lot of clubs will just post people down low and just run you back and forth across the lane. Fresno spreads the floor a little bit more, and they flash people. When you have people flashing, they're usually coming from the weak side. The defense can't see them. That's how they establish position. Now, you got to have great passers, because when they get position, believe me, they won't hold it for a long period of time. So when they get in there, the pass must be crisp. It must be on time. So far, they've executed that part of the offense very well.
And playing it very patiently, trailing 38-32 with 11 minutes to go.
But you can see, other than Barmore, who's in there right now, everybody else is out on the perimeter. However, when the ball goes to the wing, watch them flash baseline and to the post area.
Davis looking inside, sends it back to Mason on the outside. Georgetown is 6 out of 7 in the second half. And Fresno 4 out of 8. Not many shots taken in this game. There's a steal by Ewing, who just reached over the shoulder. So Georgetown is heating up from the field once again. 86%. They haven't shot that much, but they've made them good. Floyd with the layup, and then Ewing missing the rebound. And Nieves comes up with the next long rebound and brings it down for Fresno State.
Well, I don't know if we're expected to know this right offhand, but I got to believe that Georgetown's getting close. If they should continue this hot, or setting some type of a record for field goal percentage in an NCAA playoff game.
I wonder if you have to have a number of minimum field goal attempts, because they only shot 16 times in the first half, and they've taken under 10 shots here in the second half. The freshman coming back into the game for Georgetown, Anthony Jones. John Thompson's got 2 of his 3 outstanding freshmen in there now. Yavis works into the corner to Higgins.
I guess the question now is Georgetown playing great defense, or is Fresno just being patient? I don't think they're attacking the zone well enough right now for Georgetown's defense to be a real factor.
Mason with a 16-footer does not draw iron on that one. It's Georgetown's ball. Timeout called with 9 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the game. Georgetown leading Fresno State 38-32. 9:45 left to play in the game. We've been checking the NCAA record book for field goal percentages, and we have found out that in 1970, Santa Clara beat Long Beach State and hit 89% from the field.
Well, I think we're gonna recheck that and make sure that that's
all right.
That we get the correct information. That sounds more like a free throw percentage to me.
Yeah.
However, we will have that before the game is up, we're told from the truck.
Georgetown with the ball, trying to protect that 6-point lead.
So you see Fresno now really out in the tough man-to-man pressure.
We got the Twin Towers in there now. To the Hoyas with Ewing in there and Spriggs. Spriggs plays the forward position. Ewing playing in the middle. 12-footer, yes. Pat Ewing with his 6th basket gives him 13 points. To 32, 8-point advantage to Georgetown. Now, how long can you be patient here? The clock starts working against you when you're down 8 points.
Well, I don't think they're really going to press until there's probably 3 minutes left to play. They're going to stick with what got them here, and that's being patient.
Ewing has scored 10 of Georgetown's 16 points here in the second half of play. Mason on the drive up the middle almost lost it. Nieves outside to Mason. Bobby Davis deep in the corner. Mason drives the lane. Barmore is open underneath.
And Barmore did such a great job of getting that ball up on the glass in a hurry before Ewing can get his long arms over there and knock it away. Anytime you penetrate the zone, the people on the baseline have got to go to the basket. That's where the opening occurs.
Jones for Georgetown. Fakes to the inside. Takes it back out on top. Fresno will switch back, won't they, in that zone?
They will. They'll mix it up for you. Incidentally, we do have the information on field goal percentage record. It's in the 61% from the field is the record in an NCAA tournament game from the field. And it was a game, I didn't get all the information. I know Houston was involved in the game, and it was Houston and an Oregon State game back in 1970.
Shot missed, and the rebound, the follow is no good. Ewing is there to jam it. Dean Smith missed it from the outside, and Ewing making his presence felt underneath with his 15th point. Boyd Grant sending another substitute. Bradley's getting ready to come back, and another steal by Georgetown. As the Hoyas seem to have the game back under control now with just over 7 minutes to go. They lead it by 8. Jones with the jumper. This is the rim, gets a piece of the backboard, and Ewing touched it last.
Boy, Ewing is really working himself free on the offensive boards now.
Bobby Davis was shaken up, apparently, and will need some assistance. He is a hustler out there, isn't he? He really moves around. And a great part of this Fresno State basketball team. Being tended to right now for what might be an ankle situation. Ewing with 12 of Georgetown's 17 points, all from the second half of play. Well, the red wave is not rolling right now.
No, they certainly aren't. You mentioned the situation with Davis, recruiting irony involved with him, but the same was true of Rod Higgins. Although Higgins was a good player out of high school, really the player they went in there to get was a fellow by the name of Phil Gary, who ended up at Long Beach State. He was the #1 guy everybody was after. Higgins, not so much a complete afterthought, but certainly not the top guy to come out of there at the time, but certainly a much more successful career in the college ranks.
Second half rebounds, Georgetown has 8, and Fresno State has picked just 2 off the boards. Georgetown with an 8-point lead. Barmore with the pull-off jumper. Oh, does not go for it. Looked like it was in and would not drop. And here comes the Georgetown Hoyas. On the drive for the two-pointer is Sleepy Floyd. You see the look on Sleepy's face?
I'm to get a freeze frame of that, boy.
Watch this.
Here you see it. One of the few times they've really just taken it to the basket in a one-on-two situation. There, I don't know if you get a real good idea of the contact, but he stripped him, but got a good piece of his arm, too. Certainly, Fresno State now cannot afford any missed opportunities. They can't turn it over against the pressure. They can't miss any easy shots. 6.5 minutes to play. They're down 10.
Thompson with the left-hander is short, and Barmore is underneath. To put it back up, Desi Barmore, 6'7" junior, with 8 points, 44-36.
He's really done a good job.
He has. Next time Georgetown fouls, Fresno State will be in the 1-1 the rest of the way. Fresno State, on the other hand, has just had 3 team fouls called against it here in the second half of play.
Boy, Georgetown now is spread it a little bit. They've got a lot of ball movement. You can bet that they're going to be looking for that high percentage shot. When you get this much ball movement, it takes away weak side defensive help, and that's usually when Ewing can get himself open close to the basket. So you see right now, a little confused. They lost their men.
Floyd open for a moment. 2 Smiths are in there, Eric and Gene.
Well, you asked how long you can sit back and not pressure. Well, we've gotten to that point now. 5 minutes to play. They're obviously coming out and going to try to go after him.
Charging on Eric Floyd. His second foul. And Georgetown turns it over.
There you see the replay. Great position. But we had a great situation over at the scorer's table. Once again, you see Floyd going for the penetration. He sticks out that left arm. Anytime you stick your left arm out away from your body, chances are they're going to call the charge instead of a block.
Pressure by Georgetown. What happened to the
Arnold started to come in, and Mason waved him away, and Arnold started back to the bench. The coach said, no, go in.
I see. Who's coaching this team anyway, right?
Mason seems to have a little pull with his teammates anyway.
Arnold, number 42. You wonder who does his hair, don't you?
Or who doesn't do his hair.
That's true. Bradley into the corner to Higgins. 44-36. Georgetown leading by 8.
Certainly, I think the next 2 possessions are very key for Fresno. They've got to get a basket.
Eric Smith knocked it away. Arnold got it back. Higgins goes inside to Barmore. Ewing with the rejection. Pat Ewing once again making his presence felt.
And I was about to say, what a great move. He faked inside, took a couple steps away in a hurry. But with that long reach, Ewing was able to get out there and knock it away.
Timeout call with 4 minutes and 39 seconds left to play in the game, and Georgetown leading 44-36. Second meeting ever between the Hoyas and the Bulldogs. First one happened in 1979 at the Wolfpack Classic in Reno, and Georgetown won that one 49-42. So it's a little wonder that the score is not that far off. 44-36. Georgetown with 4:39 left to play. And as you pointed out to me during the timeout, Rod Higgins has been silent here in the second half. Just one basket.
Really has. And certainly a key for Georgetown is establishing the lead. Just still 4.5 minutes to play, 8 points, but they need a few steals. They need that big defensive play.
Eric Smith being trailed by Bradley all over the court. There's an attempt at a steal by Barmore. Almost took it away from Floyd.
Well, it looks like Georgetown's gone into the deep freeze now. There you see they run this double high post. They bring the ball outside, and one of the guards will pop out from behind those screens set by the 2 big men.
Ewing coming way outside to Sleepy Floyd. And Georgetown playing keep away.
There you get a good look at Spriggs and Ewing when they set up at the high post area, and people just run off their picks to get open when pressure occurs.
So Thompson reaching in. And a timeout being called by Georgetown. There's the time left. 4 minutes and 2 seconds. You want to know what a Hoya is? You know what a Hoya is?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm just glad you're telling me and not Brent.
In the days when all Georgetown students were required to study Latin and Greek, the baseball team was nicknamed the stone walls. And one student, using Latin and Greek terms, dubbed them Hoya Saxa, which translates to what rocks. And that name proved popular, and the term Hoyas was eventually adopted for all Georgetown teams. Now there's the Hoya mascot.
Certainly you're a
fountain of knowledge.
I'm telling you what. All young broadcasters out there and the viewing audience, take a lesson.
Everything you ever wanted to know about a Hoya.
Frankie.
Georgetown leading by 8. Okay, how about strategy here going down the stretch? What's Fresno State want to do? 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah, nothing you can do but play solid defense. You got to put them to foul line sooner or later. You've got to know who the worst foul shooters are, but they're not going to look to the basket. The only thing they'll do is hit the high post and look for the back door. So you got to do it with defense, but at the same time, you got to come down and get that good shot offensively.
How about the worst foul shooters on Georgetown? Who would you foul?
Let's see if I know without even looking. How about Spriggs? How about Spriggs?
I'll tell you about Spriggs. He's a 70% free throw shooter. Ewing is 60%.
Well, like we said at the top of the show, there aren't many things this team doesn't do well.
4 fouls. Bernard Thompson.
Brown's just a 62% shooter. He's the worst on the floor.
Fresno State still got one to give, and there it is. Mason.
It goes like this. Floyd 70%, Ewing 60%, Smith at 67. Who else they got out there right now? Play-by-play guy.
Ewing, Brown, Smith, Eric Smith, if you give this.
Smith 67. So you gotta get Brown. He'd be the guy.
That's Brown there, number 20.
Although I think I'd be more apt to foul Ewing, the freshman.
3 minutes and 30 seconds left to play, and the foul is called on Barmore.
You know, the real important
got the 1-and-1.
The real important thing at this stage is you should be smart enough to never put the other team at the line in a 2-shot intentional foul situation. It's very easy to avoid intentional foul. All you got to do is make an attempt at the ball.
Boyd Grant, one time an assistant coach under Joe B. Hall at the University of Kentucky. Also an assistant at Colorado State. Timeout call this time by Fresno State with 3 minutes and 32 seconds left to play. And Georgetown up by 8. Don't forget, right after the game, Brent Musburg in New York with scores and highlights. And among other things, Brent will have highlights of Virginia getting beat tonight by UAB in Birmingham. Georgetown right now is hitting 64.5% from the field. 20 out of 31, and that would be an NCAA tournament record. According to our figures. On the free throw line, Brett Brown. Brown has not scored in this game. You said he was the guy to foul.
Ewing.
Bradley to Mason. Mason with the pass. Jumper.
Boy, oh boy, that was the only bad shot I've seen Higgins shoot. Not that a bad shot selection, but he shot a line drive. I think he was a little surprised to get it. A little bit off balance. You got to be squared up. You got to be able to get that good jump to shoot a good shot.
Thompson staying with Eric Smith. Thompson has 4 fouls. Mason comes up with it. Eric Smith couldn't get it to go down. Knocked out of bounds by Georgetown.
Boy, and that's too bad. They had a 5-on-4 situation. Anytime you got defense outnumbered, you should be able to come up with a pretty decent shot. Great defensive play to knock it out of bounds and stop the momentum.
There's the time remaining. And the clock working against Fresno State. They need some baskets in a hurry. Mason misses, and Ewing skies for the board. Brown will bring it down. Barmore trailing it.
He's the guy you should foul pretty quickly. I think a lot of teams in situations like this wait a little bit too long to get the steal or the turnover. Find that worst shooter and foul him. There you go,
Barmore does just that. He heard you, right? He's only about 7 or 8 feet from you when you said that.
Pretty loud.
3 fouls on Barmore.
Really had himself a fine game. I know we mentioned that before, but really giving this club a shot in the arm with his offensive play.
Davis, who was injured earlier, comes back into the game, and Barmore comes out. There's Bobby Davis, Carson City, California. Fred Brown on the line for the Hoyas. Big free throw. 45-36. Beginning to look like Georgetown will be on its way to the West Finals Saturday afternoon against Oregon State. That could be a classic matchup.
Boy,
called underneath.
What a mistake this is. Briggs just absolutely ran over. Really run over Thompson. He's going to go on down to the other line. The other end now. This is the one way for them to get back in the ball game. When you can go to the free throw line, score points. Watch him. There you see Briggs just really run right over Thompson.
And the official right on top of it, so we'll take the walk now to the Fresno State free throw line with 2 minutes and 19 seconds remaining.
The opportunity to score points with the clock stopped. Certainly something Georgetown doesn't want to give Fresno State the opportunity to do right now.
6 points for Thompson, including 4 out of 4 from the free throw line. And that cuts it to 8 points. Eric Smith slowing it down as he brings it down court. Thompson trailing him. Time remaining. Just over 2 minutes. Mason guarding Floyd closely. Georgetown looking to get the foul here, and they do, as Bradley. Again, they foul Brown.
Well, here you see, we almost got another fight.
Look
Ewing getting a little upset with Davis. They've been, you saw before them pushing and shoving each other.
I don't think I would pick him to tangle with for some reason. He goes over and has a word with his coach, John Thompson. Thompson is telling him to calm down. Let's take a look at the whole thing now.
All right.
There's Davis guarding Ewing. Oh, yes.
Oh.
Take that. Look.
In all honesty, you can imagine with all the fanfare, a player of his ability hasn't hit the college scene in quite some time, so you know he's been shoved and pushed quite a bit. And hey, it's got to wear on you a little bit. But like I say, through the course of the year now, he's learned to control himself a little more, and that's also a big credit to the coaching staff. Calm him down.
4 straight free throws for Fred Brown, and puts Georgetown out in front by 10 once again, 48-38. Higgins has not had a good second half. They really kept him under control after he scored 10 points in the first half. He has added just 1 basket today in the second half of play.
That was 10 of their 20.
Foul called on Bradley with 1:32 left to play.
Well, they won't give up. I think you can expect to see Georgetown at the free throw line quite a bit over the last minute, 32 seconds. Of course, you can remember when we had the tournament selection program, all the fans out in Fresno.
That's
I
right.
believe they had about 5,000 people at the...
They'll be back. They've got a great program going now. They're hopeful now they can hang on to Boyd Grant. He's been rumored among them.
I was just going to say, Fresno State might be back. I don't know if Boyd Grant will be.
He's been rumored in line for the Arizona job.
Well, when you turn a program around like he did, certainly your name comes up for open jobs.
6 straight free throws now for the Hoyas has given them looks to be an insurmountable 12-point advantage. And Fresno throws it away.
I think the attractiveness of a Boyd Grant is the fact that he can win under any system. He slowed it down at Fresno State, played tough defense, but he does have that track record at Southern Idaho of running and gunning and putting points on the board too.
1 minute, 25 seconds between the Hoyas on a trip to the Western Finals.
Georgetown now 20 of 32 at 62.5% from the field, which would still be a tournament record.
If they take another shot here, they could blow themselves out of that record.
And
That's Thompson's 5th. And he knew it. Bernard Thompson fouls out of the game after scoring 7 points, a basket, and 5 out of 5 from the free throw line. He'll be back next year, 6'7" sophomore for the Fresno State Bulldogs. Coming into the game is Dan Sezzi for the very first time, number 24. And Brown on the free throw line. Missed his first one and is now in 5 in a row. There's Sezzi. is 8 straight free throws for the Hoyas here in the last couple of minutes. 52-38. Boy, they've done the defensive job in this game. You hold the ball club under 40. Sassy Messick. Floyd.
Well, you know they're looking for the lob coming down. Be a great way to cap this victory.
Less than a minute to go now. And the Hoyas know they have it. They've been in this area the entire 2 weeks. Played, of course, at Logan last week. Foul is on Higgins. Ron Higgins winding up a great career. He leads his team in virtually every category. He'll wind up, looks like, with 12 points. That's 4 fouls on Higgins, but it matters little. Spriggs goes to the free throw line with a 1-and-1 opportunity.
I guess the only thing I would comment on right now is that with this type of lead, the game pretty much sewed up. I think I'd want to get Eric Floyd and Ewing out of the ball game. They're going to be fouling intentionally. You certainly don't want one of those guys to get knocked over, sprain an ankle, or have anything happen that would prevent them from playing in the next ball game.
Boyd Grant, the head coach of the Fresno State Bulldogs, and it hasn't been their night tonight. 9 straight from the free throw line here for the Hoyas. Yes. 54-38. Sassy getting it across the center line for Fresno State, and the steal by Fred Brown. And Brown lays it in. That's his first basket of the game. He made all those free throws, total of 6.
Well, the final score I don't think is going to indicate the type of ball game we've had. It's certainly pretty much just out-talented down the stretch.
Line shot by Spoon, who just came into the game for Fresno State.
Tell you what, after throwing that one in, some of these other ball clubs may want him to come around and teach them that they have to play against Ewing throughout the rest of the tournament.
Eric Smith trying to keep away last 5 seconds of the game. And a foul called on Nieves with 2 seconds left. Well, the Hoyas at Oregon State going to be an interesting matchup on Saturday. Very disciplined ball.